Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to absolutely shatter the illusion that math is just some set of arbitrary rules you leave behind in the classroom. We're going to reveal it for what it truly is, a hidden operating system for reality itself. We're going to see how the exact same structures that balance equations on a chalkboard can actually balance your daily life, your habits, and your everyday decisions. Picture this. Imagine you're standing at Science World and you're watching this brilliant light show. A green laser flashes like a steady drumbeat every 4 seconds, and a blue one flashes just a bit slower every 6 seconds. Now, if they just flash together right now at second 0, when do they finally flash together again? Well, the answer is actually hiding in plain sight. And this is exactly where the mathematical concept of the least common multiple jumps straight from a dry textbook definition into reality. Finding the LCM of 4 and 6 gives us 12, right? But in real life, this is the exact mechanism that predicts when you're going to magically high-five your best friend at the skate park. If you go every 4 days and they go every 6, boom, day 12 is your earliest shared checkpoint on that repeating timeline. So here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to look at 1. The hidden operating system. 2. Mastering time and habits. 3. Navigating risk and unknowns. 4. Leverage and compounding success. And finally, 5. Build your mental lattice work. Let's dive right in. Starting off with Section 1, the hidden operating system. Let's look at the very foundation of balance and symmetry. Take the humble equal sign, for instance. It is not just an action button on a calculator asking for an answer. It's actually a center of structural symmetry across entirely different disciplines. In algebra, if you subtract 5 from one side, you literally have to subtract it from the other. In physics, the downward load has to equal the upward support or the bridge collapses. And in your life system, your commitments absolutely must equal your available capacity. Think of your energy and time as a constant scale. If you decide to add, say, 2 hours of ice hockey to your day without actively removing a low-value habit, the scale doesn't just magically expand to fit it. Instead, it collects its debt by passively sacrificing your sleep, your health, or your focus. Literally every single yes requires a deliberate no to keep that equilibrium intact. Which brings us to our first negotropy algorithm. This is a precise playbook for avoiding total schedule overload. When you feel that all too familiar crush of being stretched way too thin, don't just blame yourself for a lack of discipline. Symbolize the inflow. Give that new stressor a name. Map it against your hard constraints like sleep and school, and then perform a surgical elimination of an old fixture. Balance the equation before you do anything else. Moving right along to Section 2, Mastering Time and Habits. Let's shift our focus from daily capacity to the actual loops that drive our behavior. Ever heard of a parity switch? Consider the Mobius loop concept, which is modeled right after parity in math. Just like adding a single odd number completely flips the state of an even number, changing one tiny input in your life can break a totally predictable negative loop. For example, if seeing your tablet sitting on your desk always triggers a late homework cycle, simply charging that tablet in another room acts as the tiny switch that flips the parity of your entire afternoon. It's a real game changer. So instead of trying to overhaul your entire personality overnight, you can use this flip the pattern algorithm to test a single, safe new input. Spot the loop, map out the sequence of events, and introduce just one safe switch. Like if you and a friend are stuck in a cycle of ignoring each other, change the input. Just say hello. Observe how the whole system reacts to that one flipped variable. And hey, we can't forget about the greatest common factor. The GCF finds the largest exact structure shared by several amounts. In your schedule, this allows you to chunk messy tasks into clean, repeatable pixels of high energy. If you've got 45 minutes of piano, 30 minutes of homework, and 60 minutes of reading, well, the GCF is 15. You can seamlessly pack your evening using a 15-minute modular block without any messy leftovers. Next up, Section 3, Navigating Risk and Unknowns. Because as we master our habits, we inevitably have to face the terror of the unknown in the real world. Think about the mathematical variable x. It's just a placeholder, an unknown box. Having an x doesn't mean you're stuck. It just means you can keep moving your logic forward even while you're missing a piece of information. If you have a $25 project budget and you know a notebook is $7, naming the unknown remaining money x stops the panic right in its tracks. You write out the equation, solve for the $18, and safely plan the rest of your materials without the anxiety. We can actually build this exact cool-headed logic into probability too, separating the bumpy noise of a single bad day from the reliable pattern of your long-term effort. In math, one single coin toss can surprise you, but 1,000 tosses reveal the true 50-50 probability. In life, a single low quiz score is just short-run noise. It's a snapshot. You really have to look at the long-run pattern over several days or weeks to see your actual progress. A single result is a snapshot. Repeated results make a movie. I love that phrasing. You have to protect your thinking by refusing to overreact to one outlier. This keeps you safe from the gambler's fallacy, that trap of thinking past random results dictate the next independent event. Don't let one win make you careless, and definitely don't let one loss make you quit. Look at the whole movie. All right, Section 4, Leverage and Compounding Success. Now that we've stabilized the system and learned how to handle uncertainty, it is time to drastically scale up. To do that, you need a sustainable ratio. Just like the golden ratio helps build stable structures and design, a system with a built-in proportion of work, rest, and buffer creates a sustainable life. Because let's be honest, a schedule packed to 100% is incredibly fragile. One tiny delay shatters the whole day. But a system with a 20-minute unplanned buffer, that can actually absorb reality and survive. This leads to what I call the place value leap. In base 10 math, moving a digit just one place to the left multiplies its value by 10. It is a massive leap in leverage. In life, if you keep writing book reports from scratch every single time, you are basically stuck in the ones column. But grouping those repeated requirements into a reusable template, that prevents you from starting from zero. That is a massive leap in your efficiency. There's a huge difference between addition and multiplication here. Linear growth is just adding the same amount, starting from zero tomorrow and working just as hard. But we want to bend the growth curve by building a compound snowball. Geometric growth happens when today's output actually becomes tomorrow's new starting base. You aren't just working hard anymore, your past work is now literally working for you. And by applying this snowball algorithm, you ensure your efforts actually compound. Think about learning biology. If you write a single, brilliant, 3-sentence note explaining how yeast makes bread dough rise, and you preserve it properly, that becomes your new baseline. You reuse it later to quickly understand cellular respiration or chemical changes. The knowledge snowballs instead of just melting away after the test. Make today's work useful tomorrow instead of starting from zero. That's the secret. Explosive progress doesn't come from randomly pushing yourself to the brink of exhaustion. It comes from meticulously saving your gains, your notes, your templates, your adjusted habits, and feeding them right back into the loop as a higher starting point for tomorrow. Finally, Section 5, build your mental lattice work. We've reached the final stage of our explainer, where we step back to see how these mental models interlock to form an unshakable structure of understanding. I want to leave you with this final powerful question. The next time you face friction, whether it's a completely overloaded schedule, a stubborn habit, or a fearful unknown, are you going to panic? Or will you pause, identify the underlying math, choose your algorithm, and confidently make your next move? You have the operating system now. It's time to run it. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.